I slept beside my best friend's husband. Not because I loved him. Because she begged me to. Right before she died. My name is Emily Carter. I never thought I'd confess this. Especially not to strangers online. People usually describe me as stable. Quiet job, predictable lifestyle, no drama. 33 years old, single, book editor. Living alone in Seattle, Washington. My life followed careful routines daily. Coffee, work, home, sleep, repeat again. Nothing unexpected ever truly happened. Until my best friend started dying. Her name was Rachel Morgan. We met during freshman orientation. At the University of Washington. Years ago. 20 years of shared memories together. Breakups, jobs, weddings, adult failures. Rachel knew every secret about me. And I knew almost everything about her. At least, that's what I believed. The call came at 2:14 a.m. Rachel never called this late. I almost ignored the ringing phone. Then I answered half asleep, annoyed. Her breathing filled the silence first. Uneven, weak, almost terrified sounding. Emily, can you come now? Background machines beeped behind her voice. Something inside me instantly collapsed. I grabbed my keys without thinking. Rain covered downtown Seattle streets. Traffic lights blinked through empty intersections. I kept telling myself she'd be fine. Maybe panic, maybe exhaustion again. Rachel worried too much sometimes. But hospitals never call at night. And dying people usually do. She lay inside intensive care. Clear tubes covered both fragile arms. Her skin looked frighteningly transparent. Like light could pass through it. I didn't recognize my best friend. A doctor guided me outside quietly. His expression already held apology. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer diagnosis. Detected far too late for treatment. Weeks, maybe months remaining alive. My ears started ringing loudly. 3 months earlier we traveled together. Girls' trip in San Diego beaches. Rachel laughed under bright sunlight. She drank margaritas without hesitation. She talked endlessly about her husband. About how lucky she felt married. Death never appeared anywhere near. Yet suddenly it owned everything. Rachel asked nurses leave us alone. Her fingers searched desperately for mine. Her eyes looked painfully awake. Clearer than I'd ever seen before. Emily, I need something from you. I nodded without hesitation immediately. Anything, absolutely anything she needed. I expected funeral instructions maybe. Or help with her grieving mother. Instead she whispered something impossible. I need you to seduce Daniel. My brain refused understanding words. Rachel, what did you say? She swallowed through visible pain. My husband can't survive losing me. Daniel Morgan loved her obsessively. Everyone noticed his devotion instantly. He followed her everywhere protectively. Looked at her like oxygen itself. Help him fall for someone else. So losing me won't destroy him. I pulled my hand away instantly. That's insane, Rachel, absolutely not. She tightened her grip painfully harder. This isn't betrayal, she whispered softly. It's keeping him alive afterward. Her voice trembled with certainty. I shook my head repeatedly. No friend asks something like this. No sane person accepts that role. But Rachel kept staring quietly. Then she said something worse. He already tried killing himself once. The room suddenly felt smaller. Years earlier before meeting Rachel. His previous girlfriend died unexpectedly. Daniel attempted suicide afterward alone. Rachel showed me therapy records once. She feared history repeating itself. If I die, he follows me. Tears slid across her cheeks slowly. You're the only one I trust. I left without giving answer. My hands shook entire drive home. Rain blurred highway lights endlessly. I convinced myself she was delirious. People facing death say irrational things. Grief bends logic beyond recognition. I promised myself I'd forget everything. Pretend that conversation never existed. 3 weeks later Rachel died. The funeral happened under gray skies. At a church near Bellevue suburbs. People cried openly around casket. Family collapsed into shared grief. Daniel never shed a single tear. That frightened me more than mourning. He greeted guests politely, calmly. Thanked everyone for attending services. Like grief hadn't reached him yet. Like something inside already ended. Before leaving he stopped me quietly. Rachel left something for you. A sealed envelope waited inside pocket. Her handwriting instantly recognizable there. My hands trembled opening paper. Emily. If you're reading this now. I didn't make it home. Please don't leave Daniel alone. Do whatever keeps him living. Even if he falls for you. Even if people hate you. At the bottom another sentence appeared. Smaller handwriting almost hidden intentionally. There's something I never told Daniel. 1 week after funeral ended. I brought food to his house. Curtains blocked every window completely. Empty whiskey bottles covered floor. Daniel sat motionless against couch. Eyes hollow beyond recognizable emotion. I hear Rachel calling sometimes. His voice sounded frighteningly calm. I can't sleep anymore. That moment Rachel's request returned. Her hospital voice echoed loudly. Don't let him be alone. I heard myself speaking softly. Do you want company tonight? Daniel studied my face carefully. As if searching someone familiar. Finally he nodded without words. He fell asleep hours later. Exhaustion finally shutting grief down. His fingers closed around my hand. Half-conscious whisper escaping slowly. Rachel, please stay here. I should have moved away. I should have corrected him gently. But I didn't move at all. That was my first betrayal. Days turned quietly into weeks. Daniel started texting every morning. Simple messages at first only. Did you eat today, Emily? Seattle weather looks terrible again. Then messages grew increasingly personal. I hate going home alone. Everything reminds me of Rachel. One night at 1:03 a.m. A message changed everything forever. Without you, I'd be dead. My thumb hovered above screen. I knew boundaries disappeared already. Still, I replied anyway. I'm here whenever you need. And something irreversible began then. 3 days later curiosity betrayed me. Inside Rachel's bedroom dresser drawer. I discovered sealed medical documents. Hospital logo from Evergreen Health. Patient name printed clearly there. Daniel Morgan. Appointment dated months earlier. Before Rachel's cancer diagnosis began. My stomach dropped instantly cold. Because diagnosis section read clearly. Psychiatric evaluation, high risk. And one handwritten doctor note below. Patient hiding critical information. From spouse intentionally. I shouldn't have opened that folder. But curiosity always defeats loyalty. Rachel never kept secrets from me. At least, that's what I believed. The medical papers felt unusually heavy. Daniel's name appeared across every page. Psychiatric evaluation, suicide risk monitoring. Ongoing treatment recommended immediately. Appointment dates repeated several months earlier. Before Rachel received her diagnosis news. My hands started trembling uncontrollably. Daniel never mentioned therapy visits. Rachel never mentioned mental instability either. Someone had hidden truth deliberately. And suddenly nothing felt accidental anymore. One sentence circled in red ink. Patient demonstrates obsessive attachment patterns. High dependency toward marital partner observed. Loss may trigger irreversible psychological collapse. Doctor recommended supervised emotional transition. Gradual detachment strongly advised immediately. My breath caught reading those words. Emotional transition, gradual detachment. Rachel's final request suddenly returned vividly. Seduce my husband, replace me slowly. She wasn't desperate that night. She was following medical advice. I realized something horrifying then. Rachel planned everything before dying. Including me becoming Daniel's replacement. I closed the drawer quickly. Footsteps echoed behind hallway floorboards. Daniel stood watching from doorway silently. How long have you been here? His voice sounded strangely calm. Too calm for grieving husband behavior. I forced casual explanation quickly. I brought groceries earlier today. His eyes moved toward dresser briefly. Then returned directly to mine again. Something unreadable passed between us. Like suspicion hiding beneath exhaustion. You didn't have to stay, he said. But he didn't ask me leave. Dinner that night felt painfully normal. We talked about meaningless everyday things. Work deadlines, traffic complaints, coffee brands. Avoiding Rachel's name completely together. Grief sat quietly between both chairs. Invisible yet impossibly heavy presence. Daniel watched me more frequently now. Longer glances lingering unexpectedly. Almost studying emotional reactions carefully. I reminded myself constantly why staying. This was never romance or desire. This was fulfilling dying friend's wish. Saving a fragile man from collapse. At least, that's what I repeated. Later that evening, rain intensified outside. Seattle storms rattled window glass violently. Power flickered once across living room. Daniel poured another whiskey slowly. You remind me of her sometimes. The sentence landed painfully between us. I froze, holding my glass tightly. That's probably not healthy, I replied. He laughed quietly without humor. Nothing about this feels healthy. Silence stretched unbearably long afterward. Then he asked unexpected questions softly. Did Rachel ever talk about me? My throat tightened, immediately closed. Only one answer felt safe. She loved you very much. His eyes darkened almost instantly. That's not what I asked. I sensed danger beneath conversation suddenly. Like stepping onto cracking frozen lake. She worried about you, I admitted. Daniel stared intensely without blinking. Worried, or afraid? The question disturbed something deep inside. Rachel never sounded afraid before. Yet hesitation betrayed my uncertainty. Daniel noticed instantly, of course. He always noticed emotional shifts. She thought losing her might break you. His smile appeared strangely relieved. So she told you everything. Cold spread across my spine slowly. Everything? What exactly did that mean? That night I couldn't sleep upstairs. Rachel's side of bed untouched still. Her perfume faintly lingering everywhere. I walked downstairs, searching water quietly. Light glowed beneath Daniel's office door. Voices played softly from speakers inside. I recognized Rachel's voice immediately. A recorded voicemail repeating endlessly. Daniel sat motionless, listening again. Over and over without interruption. You promised you'd stay alive. Rachel's recorded voice whispered gently. I need you to keep trying. Daniel pressed replay once more. His shoulders shook silently forward. For first time, he cried. Instinct moved before logic returned. I stepped closer without thinking twice. My hand touched his shoulder lightly. He turned suddenly toward me. Eyes red, completely shattered finally. I don't know how to exist. The confession broke remaining distance. He pulled me into desperate embrace. Grief transferred between both bodies. Warm breath against my neck, trembling. I should have stepped away then. I should have remembered Rachel's warning. But loneliness recognizes loneliness instantly. And neither of us resisted anymore. His lips touched mine carefully first. Testing permission rather than desire. Everything inside me screamed stop now. Yet another voice whispered stay. Rachel asked you to do this. This is helping him survive. That justification destroyed remaining resistance. I kissed him back slowly. And crossed irreversible emotional line. Morning sunlight exposed brutal reality. Daniel slept beside me peacefully. For first time since funeral ended. His breathing steady and calm finally. Relief should have comforted me. Instead, guilt settled violently inside. Rachel's framed photo watched silently nearby. Her smile frozen forever unchanged. I whispered apology toward empty room. This was never supposed to feel real. My phone vibrated unexpectedly loud. Unknown number flashing across screen. I answered quietly, leaving bedroom. A woman's voice spoke professionally. Is this Emily Carter speaking? Yes, who is calling? This is Dr. Helen Brooks. Evergreen Psychiatric Services Department. My heartbeat accelerated instantly again. I believe you found Daniel's records. Every sound around me disappeared. How did you get my number? Short pause followed, carefully measured. Rachel asked me contact you. The hallway suddenly felt unstable. She scheduled this before passing. Dr. Brooks continued speaking calmly. Rachel feared Daniel's dependency worsening. She believed emotional substitution might stabilize him. My stomach twisted, hearing confirmation. You mean, me replacing her? Another pause filled uncomfortable silence. Yes, but there's something else. Her tone shifted, noticeably serious. Daniel discontinued treatment months ago. He refused medication supervision entirely. Cold fear flooded through my chest. What happens without treatment? Dr. Brooks answered quietly. Attachment can become dangerous fixation. Especially toward new emotional anchors. My breath stopped mid-inhale. You mean, toward me? Her answer came without hesitation. Yes, Emily, exactly toward you. Upstairs floorboards creaked suddenly. Daniel's footsteps moving slowly closer. I turned toward staircase instinctively. He stood watching from shadows again. Expression unreadable, almost curious. How long have you been awake? Phone slipped slightly inside trembling hand. Dr. Brooks still speaking faintly. Warning me urgently through receiver. But Daniel only smiled gently. Soft, loving, completely devoted. The same way he once watched Rachel. And suddenly I understood truth. I wasn't helping him heal anymore. I was becoming his next obsession. To be continued, Part 3. The woman Rachel sacrificed me to become. Daniel kept staring without blinking. Like he already knew everything happening. My phone slowly slipped from hand. Dr. Brooks's voice faded into silence. The call disconnected somewhere unnoticed. Only Daniel remained standing there quietly. Morning light framed his silhouette softly. He looked peaceful, almost relieved somehow. Who were you talking to? His voice sounded dangerously gentle. I searched desperately for safe answer. No one important, I whispered weakly. Daniel tilted his head slightly sideways. That familiar studying expression returned again. The same look Rachel once described. Observation before emotional attachment deepened. He walked closer step by step. Slow enough to feel intentional control. You've been distant lately, Emily. My heartbeat pounded violently inside chest. I'm just tired from everything. Another lie added onto many others. Daniel smiled with unsettling understanding. You don't need pretend with me. Those words chilled my entire body. Because pretending defined our relationship entirely. He reached toward kitchen counter slowly. Picked up Rachel's old coffee mug carefully. Still refusing remove her belongings anywhere. You know something strange happened recently. I forced myself remain perfectly calm. What do you mean exactly? Daniel traced mug's cracked edge thoughtfully. I stopped hearing Rachel's voice. Silence expanded between both breathing spaces. That sounds like healing, I said. He shook head almost amused gently. No, because now I hear yours. Every instinct screamed immediate danger now. Dr. Brooks's warning echoed loudly again. Attachment transferring toward new anchor. Emotional substitution becoming fixation instead. I suddenly understood Rachel's fear completely. Daniel didn't survive loss normally. He replaced love rather than grieving. And I was replacement chosen carefully. I think you should see doctor. The suggestion escaped before thinking. Daniel's expression changed instantly colder. You want send me away too? That's not what I meant. But damage already settled between words. His breathing grew slower, deliberately controlled. Like suppressing something beneath surface. Rachel once described emotional crashes suddenly. Moments when abandonment triggered panic violently. I recognized beginning of one now. He stepped closer again carefully. You promised stay here with me. I never remembered promising anything. Yet guilt tightened painfully around throat. I stayed because Rachel asked me. The truth escaped accidentally finally. Daniel froze completely motionless afterward. Silence stretched unbearably long again. You talked to her doctor. Not a question, a statement instead. My fear confirmed instantly inside chest. Daniel already suspected everything happening. He laughed quietly under his breath. A sound completely lacking humor. She thought planning would protect me. Daniel placed mug down gently. She always tried managing my emotions. His eyes softened remembering her briefly. But Rachel misunderstood one thing. I barely managed breathing steadily. What did she misunderstand? Daniel looked directly into mine. I always know when love changes. Cold realization formed slowly inside. You knew I was pretending. Daniel nodded without hesitation whatsoever. From the very first night. My stomach dropped violently downward. Then why continue everything? His answer arrived disturbingly simple. Because eventually pretending becomes real. I stepped backward instinctively afraid. That's not love, Daniel. He moved forward matching distance exactly. It feels real to me. Rachel's photograph watched silently nearby. Her smile suddenly felt different now. Not hopeful, not trusting anymore. Almost apologizing across frozen moment. Dr. Brooks's final warning returned vividly. Dangerous fixation toward emotional replacement. I realized horrifying truth suddenly. Rachel didn't ask save Daniel. She asked contain him safely. And unknowingly, sacrificed me instead. I need leave for a while. The sentence shattered fragile calm instantly. Daniel's face drained completely pale. You're abandoning me too. That's not abandonment, I insisted. I just need space temporarily. His breathing quickened uncontrollably again. Hands shaking visibly beside body. Panic replacing calm frighteningly fast. You promised you'd stay alive. Rachel's recorded words echoed suddenly. Daniel stared as memory resurfaced painfully. Then whispered something barely audible. You sound exactly like her. He grabbed my wrist suddenly tight. Not violent, but desperate instead. Fear rushed sharply through veins. I can't lose you too. Tears finally filled his eyes. Real grief breaking through obsession briefly. For a moment I saw a broken man. Not monster, not danger intentionally. Just someone unable to survive endings. But staying would destroy me slowly. Rachel understood that before dying. Now I finally understood too. I'm not Rachel, I said softly. Daniel's grip loosened gradually afterward. Pain crossed his face deeply. I know, he admitted quietly. But loving you hurts less. That confession ended everything between us. Because replacement was never healing. Only postponing inevitable collapse again. I left that morning carrying nothing. No suitcase, no explanations remaining. Rain returned across Seattle streets again. Exactly like hospital night months earlier. Circle finally closing painfully complete. Dr. Brooks arranged emergency intervention later. Daniel entered supervised psychiatric care voluntarily. I never visited after admission. Some boundaries must remain permanent. Months passed before opening Rachel's letter again. Hidden second page slipped unnoticed earlier. Her handwriting weaker near ending lines. Emily, if you stayed long enough, you would understand my decision. Daniel doesn't need another soulmate. He needs someone strong enough leaving. Someone he cannot follow afterward. I'm sorry it had be you. Because he would never chase me. But he might learn surviving you. I folded letter with shaking hands. Rachel never asked save her husband. She asked teach him loss safely. And I finally gave that lesson. By becoming someone who walked away. Sometimes Daniel writes letters still. Hospital forwards them occasionally unopened. I never read any again. Some stories must remain unfinished. Some love must remain unanswered. And some promises should never exist. I pretended to love my best friend's husband. But surviving him was the real sacrifice.